from the edit, we don't get to see everything, right? From the edit, it looked like you and Kevin had maybe a little duo sitting in the middle, but now it looks like maybe you and Cedric were closer. Is that more accurate?
Very accurate. And I'm upset in the sense that, and granted, Sarah, there's so much footage that has to be clipped and cut and spliced together. So I do not envy the job of the editors. They do a fantastic job with this. But Cedric and I were very close from day one. I helped him get off the boat at the Marooning Challenge, and then we finally arrived to camp. He told me like, I don't know what it is about you, but I like you. I can trust. And he and I just had this relationship where like he told me he would never vote for me. He would always vote with me. We could always navigate this together. And I appreciated him coming to me in that sense. And just, I believed him. And it was like a gut instinct thing. He was the one I got the best read on from the beginning. And I'm glad to see that that was validated in his confessionals and in our relationship and just how like the voting went for the first three tribal councils.
Then, so what about Say? So she kind of came into the group of the guys and kind of brought you all together. But so you felt aligned with her, but Cedric was your number one.
Definitely. And we did like working with Say. Like I think it was a good working relationship. I think what we both realized is she's playing very hard, very fast, very strong, and she's not hiding it. And we were kind of worried about her longevity in the game. We had a feeling that she would be the target at every tribal council, no matter what. She would always get votes. But we're like, is that the worst scenario? Somebody ahead of us who would always go before us in terms of garnering votes, or if we get to a swap or a merge. I say that kind of jokingly because it was just such a tough situation. But I'm like, this is somebody that we can put up and saying like, listen, here's a consensus vote. If you want to vote this way, like we're with you between Siva and Lagi. We know that war is coming. They're going to need soldiers to enlist. And we're like, if you want to come together on the first vote, like we will offer up Say. She's playing hard. She's playing strong. She's playing fast. Do we want that presence on a jury? Because she's very, very headstrong. And I respect the hell out of her for it.
So let's talk about last week's tribal. Turns out to be Kevin. Were you working with Kevin or and then you sort of switched and thought, oh, this might be the time to take him out?
I was working very closely with Kevin, but I was working closer with Cedric. And Kevin and I would get our water. We'd go to the well together when we woke up, and then just before we would go to bed. And that was kind of our time to like reconnect or kind of fill each other in on anything that had happened or just kind of like reassure ourselves with our plans. When we got back from the second challenge, Sarah, I asked Kevin to go to water before we had to go vote. And he was just in so much physical pain. It was
Mhm.
hard for him to even move at that point. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Kevin could have quit the game the first 30 seconds in. I don't think any of us would have faulted him for doing so. It was a freak accident, which I'm glad he got to share. It's just unfortunate to lose somebody like him so early on. And like I said, he would never quit, no matter what. I give him credit for even like staying in the game and competing.
Mhm.
We were afraid, particularly me, that there would be like a medical intervention and he would get pulled from the game. So I was fine voting out Mary, but in my head, I'm like, if Mary goes tonight and Kevin goes either after we vote or tomorrow morning, we're now down to three people in 5 or 6 days. And we have Cedric in the middle who has an idol, and she kind of decides our fate. Granted, we were trying to flush the idol. We didn't think she'd actually play it, but it worked out that way. So if we vote Kevin out and keep Mary, we leave Mary without an alliance member. We keep Cedric and I in the absolute middle and also keep that conflict between Say and Mary, who will never vote with each other no matter what. They're not going to work with each other. They respect each other, and I think that's good to see, but I don't think that there's a chance for them to align with their votes. So Cedric and I told him, I go, listen, we like them both. It doesn't matter to me which one you think is best for our game going forward. You choose, and I'll be okay with it. And that was the position that we wanted. We always wanted at least two people, Sarah, to be in line for us to go before we did. And that was just a case of knowing that this tribe was going to sink. It wasn't a question of if, it was more when. So that insulation process of just surrounding ourselves with people and making sure to like position ourselves accordingly, that was our plan.
Let's talk about this journey. You're chosen to go on this journey. I thought it looked like a fun dice game, but it's
Yeah.
totally up to chance. First off, did you have any choice to not play and not risk your vote?
I did not have a choice, unfortunately, with that one.
Mm.
And definitely, Sarah, had I had my vote last night, it would have gone exactly how we positioned ourselves, meaning, me and Cedric. It would have been either Mary or it would have been Say, and that was the determining factor. I think had I gone on the journey last week, I would have been more apt to risk my vote. I knew that there were enough people in our tribe who would go before me or Cedric, and I think like that would be the time to kind of chance it. But when you're down to four people and you know that one of them is at the bottom and she's likely going to use something if she has it, that's when things get tricky. If you have only a couple of votes between four people, that's when it's tough. I just know that this isn't Survivor 41 or 42. This is 48. Journeys are a big part of this new era now. And I knew the rules of the game. I still decided to play. And I have to live with that.
Yeah, I mean, playing the whole game of Survivor is just a risk, right?
I did the math, Sarah, on everything that could have gone wrong. And it was like a 2 or 3% chance. So
So we're getting ready for this tribal. You know you don't have a vote. You haven't shared that with anyone. You're hearing that Say might switch her vote just because of Mary. How were you feeling going into tribal?
I felt confident in the sense that I knew the track record of people, especially in the new era, who tell their alliance members or their allies about, losing their vote. It usually doesn't end up pretty well. And I'm like, I have this great working relationship with Cedric. A lot will have to go wrong for this to even come to light. So I'm like, do I want to risk burning that bridge over something that's like, a very, very unlikely chance? And I think I was playing Survivor. I think that it's a game of deception and lying, but in the grand scheme of things, like this was a white lie, and it was just something that I wanted to keep to myself because I didn't think it would ever get revealed, Sarah. To be honest with
Yeah.
you,
I'm a big supporter of keeping things a secret. I hate to think that made the difference here. But let's talk about, I mean, history's happening. Mary's now safe. We've voted multiple times. And Cedric keeps voting more than once to save you. Um, when we get to the open dialogue, did you fight a little bit more than we saw?
I fought a lot, and apparently this was the longest tribal like ever in the show's history. So we kept everybody up really, really late. Um, but I was told it was either 4 or 5 hours. You're in for a long one when there's a commercial break halfway through the tribal council.
Yeah.
So it was a long night for everybody involved. But I did make my case, and I think it was a convincing case enough for Cedric to want to keep me not once, not twice, but basically. And there were some powerful things that were part of the conversation, and I just think like Cedric made a decision that was best for him and his game at that point. But I did not go out without swinging, believe me. And I really think that it was my argument for keeping me and navigating through this game together that saved me for all those initial votes, Sarah.
Right. So what do you think then switched? Well, how did he change his mind?
I just think there were a lot of factors at play, and that's what I'll leave it at.
Yeah. Well, I know that watching Survivor has to be different than actually playing Survivor. Once you were on the beach playing, was there anything that surprised you?
I think it was just you kind of just get dropped off at camp and everyone's like, what do we do? Like, you're not looking for guidance, but you're just kind of looking for like a direction or just like a hint of something. And it's up to you. You do whatever you think is best for you in your game, but also try and make bonds. And, it's a lot of moving parts at once. And I think for some people it's overwhelming at points. But I just wanted to go out there and have this experience. And it just sucks because I know I had a lot of game left. I was never really that hungry. I was never really that physically exhausted. Like, I'll show you. This was my project at Luigi's. I would be in the office, like building challenges. Like I listen to like my little like wood shop. There's so much of an aspect of luck. There's so much of an aspect of chance. I just think like if you're well prepared, you have an opportunity to be luckier than others. And
Mhm.
I guess I wasn't prepared as well as I thought I was.
Well, looking back over this whole experience, what does it mean to you to be able to play?
It means a lot, and it's something that I wanted for a while, Sarah. And I guess I can say this now because Jeff talked about it in an interview. I was supposed to be out last year, and that was kind of the initial plan. During casting, the medical team found something with my heart, which I had checked out. Everything is good, but I would have never known that that happened had I not done this experience. So it's like, it may have saved my life down the line. I feel no complications. I feel very healthy. It was just like a freak thing that only got discovered through this casting process.
Wow.
And I appreciate Jeff and casting and the producers and the network for just keeping me around. There's no shortage of people who want to do this for sure. And, I'm just a regular guy who's helping his family at the pizza place. There's people who have all kinds of incredible stories, and I just appreciate them letting me share mine. It means a lot.
That's great to hear. It really was so fun to get to know you, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Sarah. Nice to meet you finally.